We've got Mr. Pete Thompson here. Now,
Yeah.
hello. Are we going to say hello to Pete?
Hello, Peter.
Good evening.
You get the full title, Peter. Peter is.
Pete's fine.
Now,
Good evening.
Peter has done 44 marathons in 44 days in 44 countries, and he's been raising money. He's been raising money. Who have you been raising money for?
So I've been raising money for Livability and the mental health charity Mind.
And how much have you raised?
Raised £19,000 last year, and I've got a new challenge this year, which has already raised about £3,000.
Fantastic. So you're a money-making machine. That's great.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
We need a few new microphones and things, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Pete, we've got a few questions.
Good.
You're going to get grilled
I know.
now from our students here. So, first of all, we got a question from Abby.
Barbie.
How do you like that?
Well done. So that's a question of how do you ask for help?
Well, just when in general, I guess. I think sometimes it's just as simple as having the courage to ask, because sometimes it's not always easy to ask for help. So I ask for help from my friends and my family, so the people that are closest to me, and that I know that if I speak to them, that they will be supportive and understand.
Brilliant. Second question.
I change of stress.
What are your signs of stress?
My signs for stress. I think I just get very worked up in my head. So when, like for example, for the challenges that I do, I have to do a lot of planning. And sometimes that planning can get too much and I have so much going on in my head. So I just start to notice that I maybe become a little bit more short with people. I might lose my temper a little bit more easily. So and as well, sometimes I might have trouble sleeping if I've got lots and lots of things on my mind. So if I know that those things are happening, I know that I need to maybe take a bit of a break.
How do you manage your feelings?
So I manage my feelings by trying to talk openly about them, really. So I think I've learnt in the past that sometimes if you are struggling with things and you try and keep all those things to yourself, that isn't always the best way, because it can come out in other ways. So I think the biggest thing is just trying to be open and honest about how I'm feeling. So that would be my biggest thing, I'd say.
And Ryan has a second question.
What is your favourite thing to do when you relax?
To relax. I guess it's probably an obvious answer, but I think one of the big things for me is running, because what I love about running is that you can just put on a pair of shoes and you can go out and just get outside, really. So it's just that idea of getting outside as much as anything, and just being out in nature, and that really helps clear my mind. And I think lots of people have an outlet that they use, whether that's art or music or singing or exercise. So for me, running is that outlet that I use to kind of help me relax. And I watch TV as well.
Oh, what television programs do you watch?
Yeah.
What television? I've started watching that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire's back, isn't it? So
Oh,
I'm into
yeah.
that. So
That's really good, isn't it? Yeah.
it is. No,
Jeremy Clarkson now.
yeah. No,
I'll
he's
watch.
That would relieve a bit of stress if you won $1 million, wouldn't it? Yeah.
it would.
I'll watch Bright Got Talent.
Britain's Got Talent. Oh yeah, I saw that on the weekend. With the guy was wiggling around, the Wiggle and Rhyme song, whatever it was. So
Right, just for
guilty
the
pleasure.
sake of our listeners, we've just to let know that Pete is also an ambassador for mental health. So we've got a few questions relating to that. So it's what we've been doing, of course. And we're going to be talking about what he's been doing to raise his money very shortly. But next it's over to Louis. You always get that response from Louis.
Yeah.
Is it? Right then. What support networks do you know that help people?
I think nowadays, in terms of the community, there's quite a lot of community groups. So Livability have a place called Holtonley, which is a community group, and that's where a lot of the money that I raise goes towards. And it's somewhere that people can go for a day a week, people with physical difficulties, learning difficulties, mental health issues, and they're just part of a community, and they can do gardening and just get out and about, really. So that's a really good kind of support network. Dorset Mind run a lot of mental health groups locally, so groups for people with anxiety and depression and things, where people can go and talk about their problems with people that share similar issues. And I think generally just the community groups that exist out there, whether that's, again, things that might be art or music or whatever that might be, they're support networks in themselves, because they're just groups of people that, you know, are there for similar reasons and want to help each other. So,
Is there any advice you would give for positive mental health?
I think the biggest thing is just to be able to talk about it openly, and be open about your feelings and experiences, really. I think that is the biggest thing, because I think when you start talking about it, you soon realise that everybody has a mental health like they have physical health, and that they will have had their own issues, or they will know people that do suffer with things as well. So I think you soon realise that you're not on your own, and people go through very similar things. So I just say about being open and talking about things as much as possible.
I went to London because I met Prince William, Prince Kate and Prince Harry.
Yeah, wow, amazing.
Because I was doing mental health day.
Okay.
I helped them out.
Yes.
I chose one from a school.
That's amazing.
With Murder Match at 1.
Okay, well, brilliant. Were they nice?
Yeah.
Yeah? They were nice to you?
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
Didn't release the call.
bringing nicely to you, Joanne. You've got a few questions as well, haven't you? Right.
How do you motivate yourself to get up when you are tired and sore?
Good question.
That is a good question. I think on my challenge, for example, I probably am the most motivated I could ever be, because I'm doing something that's trying to raise money for a cause. I get some really nice messages from friends and family that are willing me on. So I think on those days, although I'm really struggling, I've got lots and lots of support, and I think that's what generally, you know, something has to come from inside you that wants you to do, that you want to do something, but also that support from other people is hugely important. So I think it's a mixture of all those things, really.
Okay, next question. What food do you eat?
What food do I eat? What food don't I eat? That should be the best question. I eat lots and lots of food. So when I'm doing something like the last challenge, I was having to eat like 6,000 calories a day, which most people would probably eat about 2,000 calories a day.
Do you eat speed food to get running really fast?
Speedy food. I think a lot of food that I would eat would be food with lots of sugar in to give me energy. So I guess things like pastas and bread and things got quite a lot of carbohydrates in, but also trying to eat fairly healthy foods like vegetables because of the minerals and things they have in there. But no, I eat lots of things I shouldn't do as well sometimes. You've got to treat yourself.
Next question. What do you do when you're not training, like for running?
I enjoy just getting outside as well in other ways. So, you know, whether that's going for walks. So my girlfriend's got a boxer dog, so I wouldn't know if we would take her for a walk or she takes us for a walk. But, so I enjoy doing that. I really enjoy cooking, so I enjoy kind of making food and yeah, I guess seeing friends.
Have you got
really.
any kids?
I don't have any kids. No, I don't have any kids.
That was a surprise question, wasn't it, Joanne? That wasn't a planned question there. Right, so is everybody done with the questions?
Yeah, over you, Tony.
Oh, I'll have a chat with Pete, actually, so you can all join in as well. So, Pete, we've got something here on your website. It talks about marathons for the mind. Is that thinking about not running or something? How do you...
So that's what the challenges are called. So I started my last challenge, which was to run around Europe, and so that was called Marathons for the Mind. And then I've kind of kept that going with a new challenge, which is starting a week on Saturday. So it's that Marathons for the Mind is a kind of I guess a concept that is raising money for the two charities through different challenges, really.
Yeah. Right, see, so we know about that. Right, so, and lots of stuff about on the website about you eating cake for breakfast. And he said it was one of the best and hardest things you've ever done. Is that just the case?
I don't think that was related to the cake. I think that was probably one of the easiest things I've done. But no, that came in Italy. I think it was like day 30 of the challenge. And I went down to breakfast, and their breakfast was basically just a variety of cakes. So, yeah, it was amazing. I just had like some Swiss roll and some sponge cake for breakfast, and then ran a marathon.
Very healthy.
That's true.
I think that's very healthy.
But
I wouldn't
might-
do that any other time of the year.
yeah, exactly. It might not be healthy, but he needs 6,000 calories a day. You know,
Exactly.
he needs to eat lots of that stuff. Do you know, it's worth you going on a marathon just to get all that chocolate, really, isn't it? Yeah. Right. So you've been travelling between countries, and it's a bit of a logistical nightmare. Sometimes going between countries. What sort of problems did you come up with?
So I think for the 44 countries, I needed to take 22 trains, 12 planes, 5 buses, I think 4 cars and a ferry between Estonia and Finland. So
So he wasn't running at all.
trying to plan this route was incredibly difficult of trying to get it to work together. But I had a bus that didn't turn up. I was supposed to get a bus through the night from Bosnia to Croatia one night, and it didn't turn up. So we had to find someone to take us, and they drove us through the night to Croatia. Had other things, plane delays. When I first arrived, my bag had got lost in Poland, so I didn't have any kit when I first started. So yeah, various things went wrong along the journey. But I think after a few days, I was so tired that you stop worrying about what might happen, and you just kind of adapt and deal with it as it goes
Yeah.
along.
So it must have been very exciting. Do you think it was exciting for him, guys?
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be exciting if you were doing something like that?
No.
No.
Good days and bad days,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So did you get to buy a fridge magnet in each country?
I didn't know. I don't think it weighed me down. But, I got one in Dublin on the last day.
All right.
What
Yeah.
medals do you get?
I got 2 medals because I did 2 official marathons as part of the route. So I did the London Marathon and a marathon in Italy, in Rimini. So I got those two medals.
That is gold or bronze?
Attending.
Let's say they're gold.
Okay.
Gold.
Yeah, it's the gold.
Okay.
How many miles altogether?
I think it was just over 1,100 miles, which is
1,100.
about the distance from here to Rome in Italy. So
Yeah.
and I think it was about 12,000 miles of travel by the plane. So that's about from here to New Zealand. So
Do you do it in the sun or rain or snow?
all of those. It was really hot in Greece, and then it snowed in Slovakia, rained in lots of different countries, very windy in other countries. It was freezing in Russia when we started. So I went from wearing shorts to jumpers to woolly hats to all sorts. So yeah, lots of different weather.
I was reading the story about you getting fined. Were you fined?
I was fined. I was
Fun-
fined.
This is very
Controversial.
odd. Yeah, it's a very odd story. This.
Well, I went to get a bus in Greece to the airport, and I didn't have. I only had €3, and it was €5. But I also had a €50 note, and the bus driver wouldn't accept my €50 note because he said it was too big. So I stayed on the bus because I would have missed my flight had I not. And when I got off the bus, they told me that I needed to pay a fine, and the police came and said that if I didn't pay the fine, they would arrest me, basically. But it was quite funny because the fine was like €40, and they wouldn't accept my €50 to pay for the bus, but they would accept my €50 to pay for the €40 fine.
Did you get arrested?
I did explain that to them. They didn't find that very funny.
We find
didn't
it
get
very
arrested.
funny. Yeah.
Did you go to jail?
No. I did the sensible thing and paid the fine, but no, I wasn't very happy at that moment.
Yeah, but at least it's a good story to tell, though. It's
Yes.
it's funny story. And it said you got a leg injury. How did you cope with that?
Yeah, about week to go, my muscle in my leg really swelled up and meant I couldn't bend my leg very much. So I just meant I was shuffling around really for the last last 7 days. But I was so close, and I had friends with me for those last 7 days, so that really helped to kind of.
And did that help you through? You got people supporting you, keeping you going. Did you need any of that? Did you need people to come on?
Massively. Yeah, I wouldn't have started without the support of lots of people who helped plan it and things like that, because there was so much that went into planning the route. But there were so many occasions where I linked in with like running clubs or people in each country who would run with me, and there were times when complete strangers would come and find me. They'd heard about what I was doing, and they'd come and find me and run with me or cycle with me. And
Oh, brilliant.
it's amazing. So
you're a bit like Rocky then, you know, with all the kids running after you and
What,
everything.
Rocky Horror Show?
Not the Rocky Horror Show.
it was
Oh,
definitely more like that.
That's a completely new type of challenge. That's your next one. Has anybody got any questions for Pete then?
I was just wondering if Pete could tell us about his next challenge that's starting in a couple of weeks' time. Pete,
Yes, yeah.
big challenge.
So my challenge is to try and run something called the Tour de France. So the Tour de France is a famous cycling race that happens every year. So I'm trying to start 7 weeks before the cyclists start, and I'm going to try and finish the day before they do. So it's going to involve running 30 miles a day for 70 days, which is 2,069 miles in total.
Which is an even bigger mountain to climb, isn't it? Wow. Yeah.
Be climbing some mountains.
I will. I think there's 25 big mountain climbs, and it's the equivalent of climbing Everest over 3.5 times. So it's gonna be eventful, yeah. But it's trying to raise again money for the same charities. Hopefully we're trying to go one better and raise £20,000.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I think it's brilliant what he's doing. It's incredible, isn't it? Ryan, have you got any questions for him?
Nah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of
I've
something.
got
He's trying to think of something.
That's all
He's
right.
trying to stay awake. It's very hot in here.
But it is hot in here.
Don't blame him.
Joanne has surprisingly got another question.
How do you feel you meet new people? Are you scared, happy, furious?
That's a good question. I think when you first meet new people, it can sometimes be quite scary. It's quite anxious, and I find it quite difficult when I meet people the first time. I think the beauty of what I'm doing is I generally will meet people that are really supportive and want to help, and you see a really nice side to people. So I really hope that I meet lots of people along the way, because that's just as big a part of what I found last time. I remember the people that I met on my journey more than probably the places that I visited. So, I'm looking forward to it.
44 questions in 44 minutes. Yeah, what about that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pete, thanks very much
That's
for coming
all right.
in. It's been great. It's been
Thanks
for having me.
great. So thanks from everybody. And that's
Tony do Paddington.
Paddington.
No, I mean Paddington. You know what I mean, Christmas.
Panto. She's advertising my Panto now. Joanne, you should be my publicist. There you go.
You should be my publicist.
Joanne's got a new job. Right, everybody, a round of applause there for Pete then. Thanks for coming in.
För fack, sport, varm, ab.